thing is that I kind of can get away with anything. That is the thing about London. But if it doesn't go online, I can kind of get away with anything. But when I looked at people, they looked down. So what I felt was that I definitely backed them up. And so I didn't need to go any further, I could make it funny. The thing about London is that you can kind of get away with anything. No one ever talks about that. They always seem to think it's bad that they're anonymous, that no one sees them, that they get lonely really easily. But actually, that means no one isn't looking at them.
you follow it round, I can't remember how far you have to go, but you might miss it. There's like a little alcove and a wall, and he's just behind that. It's sort of raised up.
Might as well go outside, isn't it? They're literally there as transportation delivered them. And often, like the young men, in battle, very intertwined. Sometimes at their cost as well. And what is interesting, she said actually she loved flying planes. She loved flying.
It's the plant. There's something about the plant they're attracted to. I don't know what it is.
And bees, they die when they sting, I think.
Yeah.
So
Not bees, wasps.
they're wasps, are they?
Yeah, they're wasps. But I thought I'll put both just in case, because no lot of foreigners, they might not sure what's the difference between a wasp and a bee.
That's true.
Normally it's a film canister they put in there, and they put a message in there, say, John Smith, AIDS, 9th of December, whatever date's today's date. But they're all over the place. I think there's one in St George's Cathedral, someone said to me. And I found one actually without looking at Embankment Station near a sweet shop, near a drain pipe. I found one. I wasn't even looking for it, but as soon as I saw it, I knew what it was. First of all, when I saw it, I thought people were looking for drugs. Then there was this 90-year-old woman. She had a compass, electronic compass. And I thought, no, it can't be drugs. So I had to ask, in the end I asked, what is it all about? And then she told me all about it.
How's things at work?
It's the same. Everything is the same.
Are they still talking about me?
It's interesting to not know what happened before, you know, to not be in that room and hear what's being said and hear whether, you know, whether it was justified, you know, because you don't know what was said, and then but you see the result, so you know you make up your own story in a way. It was just dead quiet, like no one dared to say anything, and that was really interesting as well because it's a busy place, you know, and people are, there's a lot going on and people are running around, but everyone was sort of frozen.
Alright, have a lovely holiday, okay?
Thanks, Dr. Lee.
Alright, you take care.
See you in a month.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
See you, Dr. Lee.
Bye.
Bye. Have a safe trip to Notting Hill.
Oh well, yes. Alright, take care.
Bye.
Bye, Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee.
They haven't really talked about that specific thing. Because I don't know what it was. I think it's a very unpopular viewpoint. I mean, it's a very unpopular.
Yeah, not within the church.
Not within the church, but within London.
Definitely in London. Maybe not even in the planet though.
No.
I'd say most humans on the planet are against it in a weird way, or scared of it.
Do you think?
They do. And then when I talk, it's a different thing. It's about I talk quicker than I think, so I have to just make sure I don't say shit, you know, or lies, or cause that happens to me very naturally a lot. I'm in a hyper state of communication. That's a psychologist gave me that designation.
Ah.
My archetype is hyper communicative.
Oh wow.
And my hyper thinking, not good. It can be bad for you, manic, you know.
Really?
So everything I do is kind of managing the pace of that. I have loads of ideas, and I realise one of them. I write and talk for hours, and I can convince people to do things, and then you'll kind of like feel, what have I done? Like, why am I doing that? I get across like a hyper version of what I want to say, which is bad. People let me go into car sales or politics.
Can you pass me that water?
Yeah. Can you tell me about that painting? I can't stop looking at it. Is it yours?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in Japan. They're searching for oysters. The women.
So they're kind of diving for them.
Yeah.
Where did you get it from?
Years ago, I had I ran a gallery. Did I tell you that?
No.
Yeah, in Barcelona. And this was one of the artists we had in our gallery, and this is part of the exhibition. And then I broke up with the man who I ran the gallery with, and when we broke up, it was a very acrimonious breakup.
How so?
He wasn't very happy about breaking up.
So it was your choice to leave him, basically.
Yeah. And I didn't do, I did it in a way that I would never do now. But anyway, we had this gallery and it had all these things, but I wasn't allowed in anymore, and he basically threw me out, and I didn't have access to any of my stuff, like clothes or anything. But I somehow had the key to the gallery, and I went in and I took this.
Wow.
But so that's how come I have it, and I really love it. I'm so happy I took it. We're friends now, by the way.
Well, time heals all wounds. What it makes me think of is people drowning.
Yeah.
It looks like desperation, that's what I think. It looks like the last minutes of people's lives to me.
That's horrible.
No, I didn't actually. You want?
Here in, not 100%, but socialising in London is so connected to alcohol that you can go to a pub and not drink, but it's not very pleasant. It's very noisy and overwhelming. You can't. The nature of the conversations is different to the conversation, which is one of the reasons I think I used to drink, because it's like quite boring if you don't drink and you socialise. And if you don't drink, socialising is just quite. You're just like, oh, this is really weird.
Hello? I'm sorry. I apologize.
I am a young man. I met my wife speed dating. Or was that boating? Either way, I was on my rounds, administering gases and pills to the sick and dying. My birdie nose was stuffed with the fruit that is found inside of Pop-Tarts and puff pastry. My fanny pack swells at the thought of my wife, gay as a cloud, dodging the infection like a real pro. It is an endless deluge of information. Rain solutions and style overdose. Hello, sir. I think it'll be fine. Ideal thing would be to have an umbrella. I can see if I can nick one from lost property, but I think it might add a bit of atmosphere, a bit of zone light. You can use shelter if need be. So don't. Good to knock an animal skin skin over the camera to dim some again. Yes, no one heard that I do. And just like so. So soon. The rubbish I leave around the house myself, is that what annoys me most? A rhythm of dark, jungle, hidden drums. They form the hurt of a mess, like that refuse itself, that cuts holes in the annals of brave British officers in the histories. Take note, at this juncture, there is an Ebola scare, and I am not necessarily being critical of the Empire. Ebola follows bird flu, which follows Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, and AIDS, the old disease. If one of these abandoned bags turns out to be explosive, the wind of contemporary opinion might shift, and we might have renewed appreciation for those brave, young, daring do.
I think there's an momentum, something post-human that is operating. I don't think you can track that through the layers and find some sort of higher view, mega factor that clearly exchange that you could do at a certain time. You know, in the even sort of 1920s, there's a combination of the people who
impressed by the car. He borrowed from his friend though. It was a sunbeam. I was wearing a collar and a tie. It's hard to say what the secret to happy marriage is. Jim has an amazing sense of humour. We do stuff together, but we also respect other parts of each other's personalities. I was an only child. We are equals, and I drive for 2 hours every day, in a car. She does too. We have no secrets from each other, and a joint bank account makes sure.
That really scares me, but I think something that really tempts me to do is to be really offensive.
Yeah, you would have to be kind of very offensive to be offensive, or in real terms, not really offensive at all.
I was 23 at that time I first met Jim. It was 1999. I'd spent a summer in the south of England, training to be a teacher. I was very tanned. Occasionally, I used to help my parents out in their shop. Those kinds of shops don't exist anymore. Just selling stuff.
Levels, I suppose, the consciousness, and then in space.
Yeah.
In the actual physical space of where you've lived for so much.
Oh yeah,
of your life.
well, very much. The physical space of the city is gradually evolving into defended enclosures and to buildings that exist as buildings but may be empty, and to hospitals and universities and whatever becoming generic as being the same thing. They have a kind of universal identity of this particular kind of lighting, the particular kind of multicolored seats that are hard, that are not too comfortable, the kind of coffee that's at the edge of it. It's all aspiring to be the airport departure lounge, with kind of nervous shopping and a sense of dread hanging in the background, and then finally your number is called either to fly or to go in and be told you've got terminal cancer.
In terms of tax regulation or any other kind of regulation, they want to be able to keep everything private, because you have this huge amount of dirty money swilling into the City of London. I mean, there's been the issue recently with Russian money, obviously, because of the events in Salisbury and things, so people have been talking about stopping Russian money, but that's really not an issue anymore, because most of the Russian money has come through and they've got people to invest massively in property in London and kind of washed dirty money from around the world. And when you do that, you bring in kind of corruption, and you bring in a lack of democracy that comes with that money. And also it's pricing people out of London. So, in this area just outside Barbican, you've got all these tower blocks being built in EC1. Within the city, you've got the Heron. And they appeal to different nationalities with different buildings. So the Heron, also known as Milton Court, where they demolished the earliest part of the Barbican that was built, which had the fire station, the City Morgan, and then built in the bottom the new extension to the Guildhall School of Music, and above it's all these expensive ghost flats. So they're basically aimed at investors, and the people come over and maybe stay in them for a few days out of the year. But they basically just leave them. They want to get their money out of the regimes that they think might take it away, such as Russia or China, but that happens to mostly have Russians in. And they buy these flats, leave them empty, and wait for an overheated housing market with more people washing dirty money through it to kind of make their profit on their investment.
A lot of effort into that.
I'm very nervous. I'm quite a big deal. I take someone out to dinner, and then I dance. So I take myself out to dinner, and so I'm very nervous, and I don't eat anything on our first date. I usually eat food on the second date, and just enjoy the third. Over.
There's a big movement going around putting up posters on houses asking why these houses are empty. And then people like the Mole Man and the Owl Man and these various eccentric characters who are able to dig into these properties and go their own way, tunnel under them or fill the house with wild birds or whatever. The council just didn't acknowledge their existence. generally there is a summer condition of the sort of surface tensions brood and cook and come into play, generally, especially in the nature of the city. The summer city is a city of event, you know, especially if there's something like the Olympics hovering on the horizon. And the nature of these devices in the hand cook it up to a much greater degree. There's the alchemy of panic is involved with the technology. And, you know, just travelling on the train yesterday and seeing the groups gathered in the various stations along the way. Every single person was holding this like a kind of prayer book of some sort in there, and looking also as if they were diving into this tiny silver screen. It was a pool was in their hands, and the world around them just was not there. And so you're more related to this infinite pool, this silver pool of the world's facts and theories and Trumpisms and madness that's raging in there, that puts you into a state of mind that's post-chemical. You're really cooking, and you're enraged, and then you shoved onto this train. The idea is to engage with the intensely local and make it universal, to recognise the unified soul of the city and indeed the entire universe through minute particulars and details that are available to everybody from where you are. And if you have tools to cut you off from where you are and to shortcut it into this kind of other virtual universality, then the soul is under threat and destroyed.
The City of London wants to promote a certain sort of culture. And, you know, the thing about middlebrow classical music concerts, you know, they're not particularly promoting Luigi Nono or something, but kind of popular classics. It's aimed at kind of corporate junkets, so it's great for all the businesses in the city to go and take their clients to kind of completely tedious middlebrow classical events. So, you know, it's very much aimed around this, you know, to make the city look good because it's spending money on arts, and take your eye off the ball that actually what they mainly spend money on is lobbying for free market, lack of regulation, as I've said, and for tax havens, and the whole lack of transparency around the city, and the fact that, you know, the local authority in the city is completely undemocratic, in that 80% of the council is elected on business votes. So the residents make up, you know, have 20% representation in the council, and the rest is for finance industry and business in the city, which means that the council always goes against the residents' interests. So they need the residents because otherwise they couldn't be a local authority, but at the same time they walk all over the residents. And then all this, you know, art washing is designed to kind of cover that up.
We've created a zone here where it's very desirable, and, you know, you go look on London Fields on a weekend, and it's this huge picnic zone of balloon snorters and barbecues and a kind of party-ish zone, and yet the feeling is most don't really know where they are or whatever happened there before, that this was a sort of a place where animals were fattened up to be taken to Smithfield, and the market's only there because it's a sort of chartered liberty. I mean, they don't need to know any of that, or if they do know it, it's in a kind of heritagey way. It becomes history is kind of controlled in that sense, that you pick out the bits you like and you put them up, and the rest goes under.
Hello, George. A letter from Mr. William Carter. I've gone and done it. I've popped my clogs. They're to make a dance hall show of it, the Oppo, those Ratcliffe killings. Now, if I drag a bag of kittens or become aware of the endless potential of women in the city, well, I might end up worrying about the lack of dark spaces for dark fellows to write dark sonnets and feel a great enthusiasm for the bad acts, the things done off stage, in the dim. Oh well. Hello, George. A museum to those serial murdered girls in opposition to the one about their killer, eh? On St. Anne's Steps, St. George's Egg, well close square in its dish. Now, I was talking to Daniel Solander, not the detective, the other one, and there's no explanation for it, beyond its Egyptological significance. It's a church as a refuge, but also a mouth of hell. Hello, George. The mouth as a journey to the dark heart of autumn. Got hold of the drumstick before the drumstick gets hold of you. To Ian Sinclair and Rabbi Falk, the Baal Shem of London, to Stephen Watts and Manu Swedenborg, to Carl Linnaeus, the man who named my favourite tree Bow, as in a lamb, as in a pyramid, as in a duck. Yours sincerely, George.
Quite disturbing in itself. Quite disturbing. That is disturbing. It's got to the point where I'm not disturbed about it. I've become immune. I've seen everything and heard everything.
How long have you been there now?
It's been coming up to 28 years.
28 years.
I mean, murderers get less than that. I want to go in a couple of years. I want to go 60.
Yeah.
And finish it. I'll never set foot in there again.
Would you get a good payout, you think?
I hope so, yeah. They've had a forecast and it's not too bad.
And what would you do? Would you get another job?
I don't know, I'd probably get a local job, but time to travel and study and do things that I wouldn't be able to do when I was there, you know. A bit more freedom to do stuff in the real world, as opposed to Disneyland.
And you're commuting a lot still, right?
Yeah, it's about an hour and a half, door to door. So it's... Commuting's driving me crazy, actually. It's quite honest. That's doing my head in ground.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It just, trains always delayed and it's just here and they crucify if you're late too much. But there's so many lists, late lists, sick lists, every list you can think of. I mean, you know, you get people just doing the oddest things, like, you know, just you're talking to them in mid-conversation, they'll just walk away, and these are your colleagues, and they'll just walk away and just do strange animal noises.
Before I left, second to last year, when I didn't know I would be leaving, I couldn't resist trying to, just emotionally return the werewolf bite of their rudeness.
They were rude as well. It still goes on now. It's just appalling.
Really?
Nobody can blame you for doing that.
People are still rude.
Oh, it's terrible.
It always shocked me that, considering
how old it is and how weird it is, that there isn't more strange, violent things that happen. Because I remember hearing stories about like knife fights in the mess room and suicides from the balcony. And what about the bag of pigeon heads? Is that a story you've heard?
I've heard about the pigeon heads. I have heard about that.
Yeah.
I know that a supervisor got attacked by a pigeon.
How so?
I think he was in this park, and he was late coming back to work. And he went to the office, and they said, "What's wrong?" He said, "I've been attacked by a pigeon. I have to go. I have to go home now."
Level 8.
I'm sorry, I don't know the. It's next to a pub. That's it. The Christopher Hatton.
It's gone, I'm afraid. It's it's been done.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, no, it's been done. Yeah.
Was it taken by a commercial?
It was taken by a commercial tenant, actually relocating within the building. Actually.
Ah, okay. So it was an inside job.
Sort of, yeah.
No problem at all. Thanks for your time, Mr. Davis. Bye.
I think I've said to you before, I caught the end of those characters, you know, when I was drinking in the Coach and Horses, which I did quite steadily for a couple of years. You know,
Penters and
Francis Bacon was still going in there, you know, Jeff Bernard was in there, John Hurt was in there. I mean, they were all serious drinkers, but they had stories going back, of course, to the 40s and 30s, Francis Bacon, which I'd eavesdrop on, obviously. And some of the behaviours were just astoundingly bad.
In what way?
Well, sex and violence, essentially.
It's hard to believe in the 80s when it's like the most cocaine, you know, hyper violent, you know, reflected in the literature and the music and all that. That people were thinking back to the post-war.
Well, I suppose it's romantic of me, but I think, and of course for lots of reasons, I fucking hated the 80s.
Why?
Well, because of the politics mostly.
Right, because of Margaret
Thatcher and so on.
It is the start of a lot of things that have come to pass now.
Yeah.
In a terrible way.
Yeah. It's sinister, it's properly sinister. And these people are, you know, struggling now, and it's them pushing for Brexit and the hard Brexit.
Yeah, it doesn't make the 80s, through the shine of certain books and films, look innocent. Like it's new, that kind of insane capitalism and excess. Still, from a distance, that seems not prudish. Like, well, it must have been disgustingly materialistic. There's something magical about the day glow excess. Because that's not true now. If I went on a bender and punched someone and it was known that I was with 20 girls, people would despise me in a way that they would not hate you in the 80s. In the 80s, they'd be like, good job.
Yeah.
Uncontrollable anger is a sign of brain injury.
Or, you know, the next day it wouldn't be mentioned.
No. What now? Not benefiting, but we're not. Well, maybe, I don't know. It's that again is a relative, you know, No. Well.
We want to go out on the. Oh, we go up.
Yeah.
I don't remember going downstairs at the beginning, so it's been a while.
No, we did.
2 hours. Yeah.
To see how many steps I took today. It's so cool. Joan's got the same thing. Totally different readings.
Is that right?
So that tells you how accurate this thing is. Today. Joan, what do you say? I've got 1,823 steps.
Fuck, you could even probably be a banker if you wanted to.
I was already a banker.
Well, there you go. We go back to
For
it.
Merrill Lynch for 4 months. It was cocaine fueled.
Oh, was it true then?
I didn't take cocaine.
Sure.
I didn't. I wanted to keep my wits about me, surrounded by all those men who I felt probably wanted to, I don't know, physically assault me in some strange way.
I used to reject it when I was younger, but I think now I can admit that I like creature comforts as well.
What do you mean by creature comforts?
I like I don't know, materialistic things. I hate like.
You're smiling as you say it though.
I'm smiling. It's a nervous smile.
What do you mean by materialistic things?
Like yesterday, it was so funny. I had a job interview and I did well in it. And do you know what I did to celebrate?
Bought some Lego.
Lego. I haven't played Lego in years. No, I went shopping as like a treat. That was my treat.
What did you buy? Something very expensive?
No, not even. I bought t-shirts.
But you didn't get the job yet?
No, that's the thing. Yeah, I didn't even get the job yet.
It was a reward for going.
It was a reward for going. Go towards her, yeah.
It's beautiful.
Is it?
Yeah, relatively. That job sounds very interesting. So you must have to have extremely technical skills.
Yeah, you have to have 2 different personalities to operate in both levels, I think.
Do you never think about it?
About what?
How strange that must be to transition in your life.
I think it's just kind of normal at this point, though. I mean, we all operate on different personality levels, depending on our context, anyway. So, I guess it's not that unusual. Why do you think you're the same all the time?
Well, what people bring up to me is how different that is to whatever I do now. And the only thing that's different is that there was a consequence of the first one. That you did things for a reason. Like if it didn't work, then you don't do it. But now I can do whatever I like.
How's Rupert Murdoch?
What no idea.
He's with Longlegs, isn't he?
bid for something. I don't know what it was. They lost a takeover bid for something.
Well, in Australia.
Well, maybe, I'm not sure.
And he's just the same. Hasn't altered a bit. You know, he's still drinking and drugs and about 4 call girls a day, something like that. He was Italian and he had links to the Vatican Bank. He's still, yeah, he's a pretty chunky bloke, like. Still smoking and drinking and he's never got any money. He's on, you know, he's a lawyer, a specialist lawyer, and he had £14,000 on him in different currencies. He's a sex addict, and it was all over the papers for a long time, months and months, because it was such a juicy story, I suppose. And I don't think anybody was ever convicted for his murder. In fact, I think if I remember rightly, it went to trial. 5 mafia members were imprisoned and tried in Italy, but I don't think they were ever sentenced. They got away, basically. Yeah, there were stories of Freemasonry and magic and all sorts of strange things going on here.
Why would someone leave money on someone they murdered?
I don't know.
Because of the magic.
Magic.
My wife wakes up screaming, scaring the animals who care for her. It disturbs my sleep, wakes me up even. But I'm too tired, feeling near the end in the coma of sleep to be upset.
What happened to the Second World War?
But I don't lay my hands on to relieve her cramp. What is everywhere but never visible? And what is the difference between that which is inevitable but hidden, and that which vogue it is to try and ignore? Juddering sick people, a sickening populace, blooming, blossoming. The ubiquity in the balance of the thing under your skin you will never really see. You can take it at faith it's there, or come to see 5,000 examples of proof.
You can't, yes. Before you can't, yes.
So
I have to say the fireworks were spectacular.
They were.
Very good fireworks. Yes. But I mean, a lot of people put a lot of effort into their floats.
Yes, they did.
And I mean, the dignitaries that turned out were quite extraordinary. It was lovely to see the Chelsea pensioners too. Yes. Yes. Absolutely gorgeous. Yeah.
Under your finger as you point to the whiteboard, beneath your hand as you scoop cereal into your mouth, under your scalp as you headbutt like a raised goat in the public house, beneath but visible over your chest and middle back, a hog bone pressing through a bone.
people are very, sort of. I mean, we all have generally all have one of each general bits in the right proportion, some not necessarily, but they are also different.
The predator tears out a spine like it were a hotted dog, as I do to my sardines. Honestly, it's fine, love. It's all you can do to avoid, to convince yourself you're avoiding it, aware. But it's going one way anyway, afraid or brave, comforted or awkward, white or with small patches of hair, flesh and skin. It is all the same in the end.
Have you been before?
A human pyramid post-mortem. A geometrical presentation that is both aesthetically striking and in this day of limited living space and skyrocketing real estate costs, an eminently practical solution. For it is right the dead should take up less space than when they were living and be divorced in pieces amongst each other. You are witnessing the afterlife, the meadow of a ready, real, boring lambs, the heaven where everyone is tired, like on earth, the village where we will all end up, where once more you may trust your neighbour.
I've left you all a gift under your seat. I've left you all a gift under your seat. Where's the time? 3, 2, 1. It's funny. People have all these thoughts in their mind, and then you speak to them, and they. It's funny. People have all these thoughts in their mind, and then you speak to them, and they. Maybe a quick poem to make this a reading officially. problem with impulse control. I have a 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 problem with impulse control. At this point in the evening, I should say, I hallucinate very easily. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
This canal is exhilarating. How does one turn pain into pleasure? No, wait, scrap that. How does one turn pain into good work? That is nice work. That is tidy work. That is the kind of work you'd put to water. I want to do a TEDx talk on this, on how they're stealing my ideas. Have you walked on the canal? West, past the Max of Wembley, past the donut factory, past the... Have you read Derek Raymond? Have you read I Was Dora Suarez? You should. He's got this West London Canal thing down. He is the sacred relationship between the dreamer's body and the city. He finds his partner by the canal and whisks them off to France, never using anything but a boat, a longboat, a longwood boat, with Rosie and Jim. This is the canal. That is the not Hackney, not Dalston, not Islington, the not where you're at with your waterside development. This is the canal as a water feature for the property developer, holding her or his own self as they look out on a London that could be better. Walk beside me, they say. Come and see how the future is. It's clean, plastique, full of human beings. Don't be a NIMBY. Live and let live. Great to meet you. My name's Mr. Rosie Jim. They've nearly filled the water with earth. I walk the Grand Union Canal and ponder the path ends in Birmingham. Come see those fish murals and the frogs, the rats. Come sniff their bodies as they adapt to human poisons by mating. It's a miracle. That's the theme. Every inch of it, every centimetre that sticks to your fingers. This handsome hand lays me down gently, cradling my legs, stuffing them in at the edges, dismayed by your offensive work. Though I haven't seen it because I'm on holiday and far-sighted. I've just woken up and realised I'm a maths teacher in the 1990s. If you stay on this donkey path long enough, you'll come to see the sea. And there, what's past my help is past my care.
keep
Yeah,
writing.
I hope so.
Powerfully, because that's not always that.
Well,
You
I
just
mean,
refer to
I'm
friends.
still alive, you know. So the minute I can't physically, or I just don't have the energy to do it. I mean, that's it. I think basically the working and the living are the same thing.
Do you think that it just comes from you, or from your experience of when you were younger, or the
No,
city?
I think it's a kind of some strange Faustian bargain with the city. That initially you come from outside this city into this mass that's called London, and it's intriguing and it is exciting to be there, but you're outside it, and then you start wandering around it, and you make a few small discoveries, and you meet some people and talk to them, and you make some kind of recording in a small way, a little thing, and that allows you through to the next one. And after a certain period of time, there is definitely a sense of mediumistic engagement, that the writer is only a scribe being ventriloquized by the city itself. And as long as you don't sell out, there'll be more to come. And it's part of a very large structure that numerous people have been through all the time. Like I kind of keep saying from Yeats, that we can actually help with the unfinished work of the dead. You know, we just complete their work. That it's an ongoing dialogue with the people you engage with from the past. Nothing is finished in terms of the city, and that's all we do. And while that stays open, you keep going, and then other people hopefully have found some fragments in what I've done, and they run on and take it somewhere else and take it somewhere better, which I've seen various people do with sort of abstruse and crazy ideas of mine have been finessed in different ways that have brought them to bigger attention.
It's a lovely place, full of once lovely people. You should come here. I'll wait. I met an old woman here once. She said to me, "Isn't it terrible how they let the plants overgrow the graves? I find it to be awful to think. It's disrespect to the dead." "Shut your stupid mouth," I said. "The dead don't mind a growing plant." Quite the opposite. Once cheered, now booed. The mob's opinion is fickle. What was once above is now below, as unbelieving as you or I that no one will die, or believe they will when they do. Welcome to the 7 Londons inhabited planets, fueled on wind and new runways. Which way will it go? Which flight path? The tiniest concerns of church mouse dissolve before goth photo shoots, grave robbers, sex amongst the tombs. The avenue of Prim, where hands do hands shake from time to time in the face of public speaking at a funeral for a royal. They lined the streets to get in. They are all dead now too. In this garden, dogs take shape that can't be yours. They walk through the graves, gently persuaded by the translucent ghosts of the once were owners. They look like coffee grounds, but taste like animals. Their noses like guns, absolutely everywhere, and they work. As the dead arise, your world iris closes. But from the ditch of Ballard, Pinter, Freed, Brunel, you hear the ringtones say, "It is only one of our roads. Other passages will open before you once your mum has died." All this wisdom, all these men who served the empire so fully, where did all that go? All that commitment? It's all a flavoured wire to follow in the dark,
like a sugar lance you know ain't good for you. At least here, in the cemetery, it's healthy to be afraid. Eyes blink like a film where the character comes alive. I will say this, it says. The social contrivances, the relatives we barely know and do not much care for, the birthdays, weddings, christenings, Christmases. I have no part in that. A consciousness tied into the same mind that accrues things before being buried. I am instead a stone, a mud clot, a mysterious garden centre. It is not a film. You wake. You find yourself in pastures new.